Let's start understanding the statistical problems of probability, which relates to multiplication rule with the help of an example. Let's suppose that we have one box containing 10 balls, and balls are divided into two types. Some balls are colored balls and some balls are gray balls. Uh, Out of color, some balls are dotted and some balls are stripped. Similarly, out of gray, some balls are dotted and some balls are stripped. So if I look at the overall distribution, so I can see that out of 10, 4 balls are colored and 6 balls are gray. And out of colored, 3 balls are dotted, 1 ball is colored. Similarly, out of gray, 2 balls are dotted and 4 balls are colored. Okay, now as a box has 10 balls, it's mean the probability of getting out any random ball of having any color or dotted or stripped is 1/10 कि 10 बॉल्स हैं उनमें से मैं एक को निकालूंगा तो 1/10 1/10 की probability एग्जिस्ट करती है. Now the question is, we need to understand question. Now the question is that suppose someone draws a colored ball from the box. What is the probability that it is dotted? Now look at the issue. Issue is that someone has already drawn a ball and that ball is colored ball. Okay, and what is the probability that it is dotted as well? Now see, how many balls we having? 10 balls. जो बॉल निकाल ली गई है वो कौन सी बॉल है? दैट इज अ कलर्ड बॉल. इसका मतलब है कलर्ड बॉल जो कि 4 है. इसका मतलब है उन 4 में से कोई एक बॉल इज अ कलर्ड बॉल जो आपने निकाल ली है. अब उस कलर्ड में से जो डॉटेड बॉल्स हैं वो कितनी है? वो है 3. ओके, इसका मतलब है कि आपने असल में आपके पास अब जो प्रोबेबिलिटी मौजूद है वो 10 बॉल्स की नहीं है, वो 4 बॉल्स की है जो कि कलर्ड बॉल्स थी. और उन 4 कलर्ड बॉल्स में से 3 डॉटेड है. उन 4 कलर्ड बॉल्स में से 3 डॉटेड बॉल्स हैं. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि if I try to write it in this way, that what is the probability of having a dotted ball given that I know that it is colored? So the chances would be what? Chances would be that as I have 3 dotted balls and the total colored balls are 4, so the chances of getting a dotted ball given that it is colored is 3/4. It seems very simple that we can solve it in this way. But most of the time such questions becomes more complex. Therefore, statisticians have devised a structured way to handle these type of problem. So what they do, they say, as we have already discussed, that the way of finding conditional probability is something like this. This is the way of conditional probability, that we will find out chances of B given that A would be equal to, first of all, chances of their joint probability, and given that A event has already occurred. So if I translate or if I transform this expression here, so I can say that in this case I can say that what are the chances of having joint probability means D means dotted भी है and colored भी है, divided by the probability of event that has already occurred, and that event is what? C. So this is the way of doing it. Now if I look at again, what is the joint probability of having dotted and colored? I can obviously simply see here that how many balls are there who are dotted and colored? 3. And total balls are 10. So probability of dotted and colored would be 3 divided by 10 divided by, what are the chances of having a ball colored? How many colored balls are there? Colored balls there are 4. 3 plus 1, 4. And total balls are 10. So the chances of getting a colored ball is what? 4 divided by 10. So if I simply solve it, so I will have the same answer as I have already find out, that is 3 by 4. Now look at the solution. See, this is the solution. It's the same solution, that chances of getting a dotted ball having its color is 3 by 4, and the proper way to find out this is with the help of this specific example or this specific expression which I already have solved. Okay, so this is the chances of getting a ball that is dotted given that ball is already colored ball. This is the idea of conditional probability. Now if I look at and now you also have an idea that what is meant by dependence or dependent events कि कलर्ड पता चल गया है, तो अब बताओ कि डॉटेड क्या है. अगर फर्ज करें यही होता है कि गिवन दैट इट इज नॉट कलर्ड, इट इज ग्रे, अब बताओ डॉटेड की क्या प्रोबेबिलिटी है, तो सिचुएशन चेंज हो जाती है फौरी तौर पर. एंड दैट इज मेंट बाय कंडीशनल प्रोबेबिलिटी. नाउ अगेन if I look at another question which says that what is the probability that it is stripped provided that it's a colored ball. Again if I go to the basic question, so again you can see that what is the chances of getting a colored ball that is stripped. That seems very clear here, that chances of colored ball having is, now it's not 3 by 10 because that was dotted. The chances of having a colored ball that is stripped is only and only 1 by 10, and that the chances of getting a colored ball is 4 by 10. So the answer would be 1 by 4. Okay, and the way of finding is very simple, that the chances of getting a colored ball that is stripped is 1 by 10 and the chances of getting a colored ball is 4 by 10. So the ultimate answer is 0.25 or 1 by 4. And similar condition moves ahead, that what is the chances of getting a gray ball from a box, what is the probability that is it is stripped. कि आपने एक ग्रे बॉल ड्रॉ कर ली है, अब बताएं उसके स्ट्रिप्ड होने के चांसेस कितने, दैट इज 2 by 3 on the similar grounds, and so on as well. In this way we can find out the conditional probability. Okay, so now if we move forward, so the situation is now about joint probability. We were discussing three types of probability. We were talking about marginal probability, we were talking about conditional probability, and now we are talking about joint probability. The idea of joint probability has already been discussed in conditional probability, because if we when we saw the case of conditional probability, then we said that to find out conditional probability we need to divide joint probability by the probability of event that has already occurred. So this is the joint probability. So in the case of joint probability, the idea of this joint probability was already included in the case of conditional probability. So if I simply just manage this equation a little bit, so I can say that joint chances of having these two things would be simply equal to multiplication of conditional probability into the marginal probability of event A happening. Okay, so now let's continue with the previous question and having the and try to find out the joint probability. If we refer to question which we were already doing, question number 4, and we have to find out the joint probabilities. So the question was this, that suppose someone draws a stripped ball from the box, what is the chances that it is colored and what is the probability that it is gray? So when I tried to find out the chances of having a colored ball where it is known as this is stripped, so the conditional chances were 0.2. So if I simply multiply this 0.2 by the chances of having a stripped ball, that is 0.5, so I can get the chances of having a joint probability. It's the same thing. I multiply 0.2 by 0.5 and then the answer is 0.1. And similarly, the chances of having a joint occurrence of these events, that ball is gray and ball is stripped too, then it would be equal to chances of having a gray ball given that it is stripped multiplied by the chances of having a stripped ball would be equal to 0.4. So the conditional probability and joint probability, these are almost same type of thing. आप सिर्फ उसको एक साइड से देखेंगे तो आपको कंडीशनल नज़र आएगी और दूसरी साइड से देखेंगे आपको जॉइंट नज़र आएगी. दूसरा फ़ायदा ये हुआ कि हमें जब स्टैटिस्टिशियन ने इस किस्म का एक्सप्रेशन हमें मेंटेन करके बता दिया, अब हमारे लिए कंडीशनल या जॉइंट प्रोबेबिलिटीज़ निकालना रिस्पेक्टिवली आसान हो गया है. अदरवाइज़ हम अगर उसको डायरेक्ट निकालने की कोशिश करें तो थोड़ा सा मुश्किल हो जाएगा. Now if we look at this question, and the question is again, the Department of Social Welfare has recently carried out a social economic survey of a village, and the information about respondents' gender and respondent qualification are there. So if I simply see that there are 600 male and 400 females, and out of total 1000, 300 are undergrad and 700 are grad students. Now if we look at the question, then the question is something like it, that a respondent has been selected randomly. So what are the chances that respondent will be undergrad, respondent will be graduate? It's a simple one event question कि जी undergrad होगा या grad होगा. So this is unconditional. This is a question of unconditional probability. When I am saying that respondent will be male graduate or respondent will be undergrad female, now this is the chances of joint probability. Okay, कि जी दोनों काम हो रहे हैं. और जब मैंने कहा कि randomly selected female will be a graduate, now it is conditional. Or if I said that randomly selected undergrad will be a male, again this is a conditional probability. So in this question you will be able to understand that what is meant by unconditional, what is meant by joint, and what is meant by conditional probability. Now if I solve this question, then the very first question is about unconditional probability, and the question was, what are the chances that respondent will be undergrad? Total respondent are 1000, undergrad respondent उसके अंदर कितने हैं, हम सिंपली उसको डिवाइड करेंगे with the help of empirical method. We will get the chances that how many were undergrad student. तो 300 undergrad थे out of 1000, so the chances of having an undergrad student would be 0.3. Similarly, if what are the chances of respondent will be a graduate? So total number of graduate were 700 divided by 1000, that 0.7 will be chances of having a graduate respondent. It's an unconditional probability. Now if I move further to joint probabilities, now the question is that the probability that respondent will be a male graduate, as I am using the chances of a simple empirical method, तो मेरे लिए बड़ा आसान काम है कि मैं देख लूँ कि हाउ मेनी आर मेल एंड हाउ मेनी मेल के अंदर ग्रेजुएट स्टूडेंट्स कितने हैं। तो मैं अगर उसको देखूंगा तो मेरे पास 40 तौर पर 450 का आंसर आ जाएगा। मैं अगर इसको देखूं तो 450 का मेरे पास फॉरन आंसर आ जाएगा। एंड देन द चांसेस ऑफ हैविंग अ respondent that is male graduate it's 0.45. Similarly, what are the chances of having an undergrad female? The chances are 150. ठीक है, मैंने उसकी इंपेरिकल फ्रीक्वेंसी उठाई और मैंने उसको वहां से सॉल्व कर लिया। नेक्स्ट पार्ट में मैं अगर मूव करूं, व्हाट आर द चांसेस ऑफ रैंडमली सिलेक्टेड फीमेल विल बी ग्रेजुएट। अब यहाँ पे दोबारा वही वाली बात आ गई कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आई हैव टू फाइंड आउट द जॉइंट चांसेस ऑफ हैविंग अ ग्रेजुएट फीमेल, that is 250, and I have to find of chances of having a female, that is 400. So the answer will be 250 by 400. Similarly, a randomly selected undergrad will be a male. Again, the joint chances of having a male undergrad, that is 150, and the overall chances of having a undergrad, that is 300. So I find out the unconditional probability in this case 2. Thank you.